Hey there, my friends. This is Bill MacDonald. I'm so excited to share with you a new product that I've come up with this past week so far for third and fourth grade. What I've done is I've taken the most difficult math problems from both the 2019 third and fourth grade tests that were taken in May and the third and fourth grade tests the fourth grade test that was taken in May for both 2019 and 2021, and I've made two types of questions modeled after those difficult questions. And I've gone ahead and labeled the category, uh, the the whether it's supporting or readiness. I've put the student expectation for you, and I've written out the name of the specific skill for you so that uh, you can kind of know where you want to target whatever you're working on, and you can do these in the order that you see fit. And what I've done first is the first 10 problems in fourth grade from 2019 are the new constructed response type questions of different types that can be in math. And then those same problems, I put them in multiple choice format so that you can pick and choose as a teacher which questions do you want to practice with your students with in the multiple choice format, which did pretty poorly, and which ones do you want to challenge them using some sort of the open-ended in terms of constructed response where the kid has to make their own response. So what we're going to do today is one question from fourth grade from 2021 that was modeled after the lowest performing question. But let me go ahead and just give you a quick summary, an overview of what the test is going to look like for 2019 and 2021. I have 2019 on this first page. As you see, it has the question number that it came from, the percent correct that the students did in Texas. No, so since this was 2019, those fourth graders are now sixth graders. And so if they went through fifth and sixth grade, not knowing they're already in your grade, if you're a sixth grade teacher and they didn't know how to do this in fourth grade, you might want to give this 10 most difficult question specific skill and what you after. And I went ahead and did a few more because I noticed that of all of the years for math, this past year, 2021, when I looked at all the test results, about 7 out of the lowest 11 performing subjects and grade levels, they were on math. So something is going wrong in either the way that we're teaching it or perhaps our curriculum, the programs that we're using, or the way we're testing it is different than the way it's being tested from the state. So if you take a look at these low percentages, questions 11 through 24, I kind of did them in the order. I looked and saw which were the 14 lowest performing question, and the one that we're going to do is that one right there, number 16. It came from question number 15, and it has to do with multiplying two two-digit factors to get a product and taking that product and dividing a one-digit divisor. And it was an open-ended, and so the ones that were already open-ended, like the grid responses, they're going to be in a grid response in both the constructed type and the multiple choice type, just so that I can keep the format the same on those. So that's the one we're going to work on. Here's the rest of those. And so as you look through those, thank you to all of you who purchased the third and the fourth grade math surgery problems. If you want me to go in a specific order, if you can message or email me at the word writing _doctor at yahoo.com, then I will go ahead and send you, I will do it when I record it out of order. But what I'll do for third and fourth grade, and my next one that I'm going to make is for fifth grade, and I'll keep doing this for sixth, seventh, and eighth grade as well. And if there's a demand for it, I'll do some for algebra as well. Just got to let me know. So what we're going to do today, and because we're transitioning to all online next year, I'm going to try and do everything that I do online today. Now, let me explain that for a moment. Some of you are still doing paper and pencil tests. What I suggest you do, if you're doing paper and pencil, try to do less strategies on the booklet and more strategies on notebook paper for those kids, because they're saying they're limiting the amount of strategies that can be written, what you might call annotations. Uh, some people are saying that they haven't had any trouble, that they were worried, but the kids did well. So what I'm going to do is everything on the problem I'm going to do today is going to be in on the computer, all the strategies, all the annotating, the highlighting, and I will be clearing and erasing, and hopefully the state's going to figure out a way by the time the test comes along where your kids will be able to do all the strategies on the computer that they would normally have done on their test booklet. But if not, just remember that everything that I'm doing on the screen on the computer digital copy of the test, your kids can do on paper, and so they can practice. So let's take a look. I'm going to click share the screen, a portion of the screen, and I'm going to go straight to the problem number that we're going to work on. It's on page 37. Move it over problem. Okay. Now, one of the first things that I've always taught and I believe in is that there needs to be a systematic order of doing the test that your kids should follow. And so one thing that I've been teaching, that if you've been watching it in my videos, is I use the acronym RULES. So if you're doing the paper version, you can write rules on the booklet this year. If you're doing the computer version, if the computer lets you, you can write it on the computer if they allow you to annotate. If it doesn't, then you can do it straight to notebook paper. Just make sure that every student has plenty of access, and to kind of show you, the teacher, that they're doing their strategies on their notebook paper, they would be writing question number 16 on that part of the notebook paper or the graph paper if that's what you're doing. So what this stands for is we're going to read the question, or we'll read the problem first, depending on what we think is going to be more helpful. The TEK is based on the question, where the question mark is, but the problem is where we get the information to be able to solve that TEK. While we're reading softly in a testing format or with a partner, loudly in a class or group settings, we can practice the skill together. We're going to be underlining in both the problem and the question, and we'll be labeling. Think of labeling as when you have a can and they put a label on it to tell you what's inside. Since I can't know what's inside a student's head, if they mark the test with whatever way that you've been teaching them, I call that labeling. And I think that's the easiest way, because we have lots of things. A lot of you use cubes, but cube starts with circle, underline, boxes. Well, that's great, but if you don't make them read the test out loud as a whisper, on tests, you can use whisper phones in all subjects. It's an accommodation. It's an allowable accessibility feature is what they call it. Something that you have access to. And reading and writing, you're always going to have access to a dictionary and a thesaurus. So let me continue this E. Once we read, underline, and label, we'll begin to evaluate. Upper grades start to think, what strategy should I use? Then begin to execute. And what's going to happen is if it's multiple choice, then you will eliminate 3 answers. If it's open-ended like this, we will just execute. And what we'll do is I would take one of these away because we're going to execute, and then we should explain, justify our answer, and then we're going to, because it's a scantron, it's the bubbling, we're going to make sure that we bubble on the scantron on the boxes. We'll write the numbers, and we will fill in the circles when we get to that part. Okay, so step 1, let's try reading the question first to see if that's going to help us at all. What is the greatest number of bowls? Okay, greatest is a large amount. So I'm going to highlight, let me see, since we're looking at the question, let me undo that. And I'm going to use red, the color that we'll call 911. The greatest number of bowls that Joyce could have put M&Ms into. So she's putting M&Ms into bowls, okay? And so it sounds like she's taking some amount of M&Ms and putting them into bowls. Right away, my brain is thinking those words are different. The number of bowls and the number of M&Ms. So I'm thinking that we're going to be dividing, because it sounds like we're taking them. And so I would suggest let's draw a picture. So if I draw a picture, I'm going to use this little space right here to draw a bowl. And if you remember arms, we use our hands to write with our pencil, but we can use arms in this case. Artists remember more steps. Each problem has a step. And so if I'm putting M&Ms, then we would think, okay, well, I don't know how many M&Ms that I'm supposed to put, okay? But if we're dividing, I do know that they are going into the bowl. That's all we know so far, is that we're putting some amount of M&Ms into a bowl, okay? Into bowls, because it says greatest number. So we'll go back to our highlighting, and we're going to have to read the question now to figure out, before I can figure out how many bowls I need, I got to figure out how many M&Ms I have. So let's figure out what we got. There it is. Joyce had 15 packages of M&Ms to put in the bowl, 15 packages. Because she was hungry, she ate all of the M&Ms in one package. Okay, well, I used to teach my kids, if information goes together, you can have an opening bracket at the beginning. You could draw a little bracket right there, and a closing bracket at the end. But if you see that the highlighting continues, that means it's all that's going to go together. So if she eats all of the M&Ms in one package, that means she's only going to have 14 packages left. And it didn't say she's putting packages into the bowls. It says she's putting M&Ms into the bowls. So before we can continue, we've got to find out, what do we have to work with here? It says each of the remaining, each, that word's very important. I found the word each in the problem. And possibly one of my steps could be, I found each in the problem, could I multiply? Not AM and PM, but if I find the word each in the problem, should I multiply? Each of the remaining M&Ms had 24, your packages had 24 M&Ms. And so every single package has 24 M&Ms. And so another thing that I might label, that I might show my teacher, oh, a package is different than an M&M. Right here, packages are different than M&Ms, and M&Ms are different than bowls. And so what you might have your kids do, it's also in the mathematics chart. For those of you who purchased the test, you got the mathematics chart and the math posters to go with it. Because the keywords are different, 99% of the time, we're going to multiply or we're going to divide. Don't have to take time to make a division symbol. We can put it like that just to remind ourselves that we're taking a numerator. And so let's see what we do. Since I have 14 packages and each package has 24, then I can probably figure out that I'm going to multiply the 14 packages that I have left, and I will multiply that times 24, because that's how many M&Ms are inside each one. So let me draw a little line here so that we can make sure we do this correctly. And what I would suggest is, as you're doing your multiplication, think of Spider-Man and Spider-Woman. And so Spider-Man has some blue and some red. So what we'll do is we're going to call Spider-Man. We're going to call Spider-Man blue, and we'll call Spider-Woman red. We'll let the ladies go first. So we will multiply the 4 times the 4, because once I'm able to figure out how many M&Ms I can have, I can put them into bowls. And the very next portion, which I want to make sure we read so we can know the next step before we even do it, we're going to be putting 8 M&Ms into each bowl. Okay. Now, even though each is still in the problem, what we were realizing, when you're separating items, you're dividing them. And I know that the company M&M, the name of the candy, didn't capitalize, but because I'm a writing consultant, everything within me didn't want to leave it lowercase. But yes, in the real form, when you see it on the package, M&M is in lowercase for some strange reason. So we're going to be putting them by 8s. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that right now. We're going to draw little circles. Okay, we're going to draw some M&Ms, and we'll draw 8 of them. So let's see. 1. And M&Ms are a different color, so we'll do that. 2. Let's use this color. All I'm doing is going to my color chart up here and picking colors. 3. There's 4 M&Ms. Second row. I'm not even sure what colors are actually in the M&Ms, but because it's our problem, we can ask for a box of crayons or colored pencils, so that we can do this on the real test ourselves. So we can remember that acronym, artists remember more steps. So at one point, we're going to take the M&Ms and place them by eights. 1, 2. Show you with the spotter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to need one more M&M, and my favorite color is blue. I'm going to put this kind of blue. Put back to drawing. Circle here. There we go. So we have 8 M&Ms. And yes, this problem is going to take a little while, but as you can see, only 18% of the students, if you look right there, in Texas, were able to take an open-ended grid response and be able to do the steps. Okay, so when we figure out how many total M&Ms we have after we got rid of, now I did make this even harder than the question from the state because they didn't have to get rid of anything first. So yes, this is a rigorous test because your students had to be able to realize that when you eat an entire package, you're not going to have the 15 that were there. So we're going to remember that Spider-Woman is going to be in the ones place, that 4 on the bottom, and they climb buildings. So the first thing she'll do is say 4 times 4. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16, and carry the 1. Climb back down the building and multiply 4 times 1 plus your carry, that is 5. Okay, then what we can do is play tick to get rid of Spider-Woman, tack with the 0 below because Spider-Man is in the tens place, and toe, cross off the carries that you use so that you don't accidentally use that carry. And now all we have left is Spider-Man, and if you think of spider heroes as right-handed, they always go to the right first, so they'll climb the building to the right, and using his web to climb back down, he'll climb the other building. So we're going to go ahead and switch to red now. I think this one's red. Let me check real quick this button. Yeah, that's red. Do that. So what we have is 2 times 4 is 8, and I should have made the entire thing red so that we can say, okay, Spider-Man's numbers are going to have a 0 at the end because he's starting in the tens place. 2 times 4 is 8. Line back down the building. 2 times 1 is 2. There are no carries because that one's already been crossed off. And then we can draw a line and we can add everything that we have between the line. Okay, 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 5 is 13. Carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So with the 14 packages of M&Ms, we have 336 of them that are to be placed into bowls by the 8s that you see in the picture. Okay, so 336. Okay, and so because we're separating 336 M&Ms into bowls, greatest number means how many bowls, since M&Ms and bowls are different, we're still having to multiply or divide, but because we're now separating the M&Ms, we have to remember that we're going to be dividing this time. So I'm going to clear all my drawings. I'm going to slide down here a little bit to this part. We have to just remember the number 36, 336. So I'll go ahead and write that number right here. And you're going to tell your students that, students, is called the dividend. Dividend goes in and divisor goes out. And what you have to also think about is how many M&Ms were inside each bowl. They're being placed into groups of 8. And so if you can divide this 3-digit dividend by this 1-digit divisor, then you'll be able to get what's called a quotient. Okay. Now, some kids struggle with division. So those of you who have my posters, I want you to look it up and I'll put it on the post. The word mas, my ma's red. Okay. Now there's lots of ways that teachers have come up with strategies to do division, but this is the one that I feel has worked the best for me and my students. Okay. So what you have to do is, as you do each step, ma's red because I keep failing division. And so I have a colorful chart that says what all of these things are with 3-digit by 1, 2-digit by 1. It's the same. So we're going to multiply something until we get an answer that is 3 or higher. Well, 8 cannot fit into 3. So we'll move over to this second box and we're going to try our best. We're going to try our best to go by 8s until we can get to 33 or higher as our answer. So what we'll do is down below, we'll try to come down here as low as we can so we have room to do the work. 8 times 1, what you multiply, put it on top. The answer, put it on the bottom, is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And you're going to teach your kids, keep going until you get to the number that you underlined or higher. Since we haven't gotten there yet, we're going to keep going. 8 times 3, making a little multiplication chart, is 24. Haven't gotten to our number yet. 8 times 4 is 32. Still haven't gotten there. So just to make sure that we're going as high as we can, if I put 8s into 5 times 5, we get 40. And for the first time, we go past the number. And so you would just teach your kids to lower this so you can see a little bit more. You would teach your kids, go ahead and go back. Oops, I want to draw. Go back to the last one that you hit without going over. And so what we multiplied was 4. And so what's on the top goes on the top. So 8 times 4, since we were trying to make 33, goes on top. The answer goes on the bottom. The 32 is our answer. The S and the R stand for now subtract, so that you can find a RE, a remainder. So let's do that. We'll go ahead and subtract 32 from 33, or 33 minus 32 is 1. That's our remainder. And so our last step is, do you want to drop over here on the left side, or are you done? Well, since there's another number there, we're going to have to go ahead and uh, drop. So we'll drop this 6 down here, arrow, and when you drop, go back to the top and do all of that again. So basically, we're going to multiply by 8 by another number, find an answer until we get to 16, subtract, find our remainder, and then we will notice that we'll be done at that point. So now we're trying to multiply something, and I know some of you tell your kids put a little multiplication sign right there, and that's fine. We're multiplying 8 times something for the first time. 8 times 1 is 8. What we're trying to do is find 16. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. We have the number exactly. So what do? Whatever number is on the top is what goes on the top. So 8 times 2 is 16. What we multiplied goes on the bottom. The answer, the product. And then we subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0 is our remainder, and we're done. So if you take 336 M&Ms after we got rid of the first package and put them into bowls 8 at a time, the greatest number of bowls that you would need would be 42. 4 is in the tens place, so I count from the decimal. We'll call that ground zero. Ones, tens. So 4 would go in the tens place. You would most likely be typing this on your Scantron, but I want to practice trying to write neatly with my freehand drawing. A 2 is in the ones place, and that means that there's 42, and because that decimal means and so I'm bouncing an imaginary ball on the floor because that all numbers are done. You could stop right there, or you could teach your kids to say 42 and 0 tenths, or 42 and 0 hundredths. All of those answers would be correct. And so the last thing, we're basically going to be drawing another little M&M. We're basically going to be clicking on the 4, and it would allow you to fill that up. 42 would be your final answer. And so that's what it would look like. And so the cool thing about my place value chart, it has from the 100 billions all the way to the ones place like there, but then it also has the tenths, the hundredths, and even the thousandths place, because some of you are going to be in the upper grades where you have to work all the way to thousands, or there's also cents and percent when we're talking about money. So there you have it. We'll clear all the drawings. Then I'll come out to say goodbye. That was the most difficult question. The one that was on the test was not that hard. It was a little bit easier because they didn't first have to get rid of a number before they did step 1 of multiplication. So that's one sample, and my next one will be a 3rd grade sample that I'll do this evening when I get home, and then I'll do another 4th grade tomorrow. And I hope that more and more of you will see the need to use this 4th grade math surgery with your students and the 3rd grade as well. And eventually we'll have it all the way ready to be used by 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders as well. So if you like this video, please share or tag your teacher friends. If you teach 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, go ahead and put on the comment section what grade level you teach. Go to my website. I'll go ahead and include a link to the website so that you can buy the 3rd and 4th grade math surgery that's ready for so far in both constructed type response questions for all of them and multiple choice questions for all of them. I think I'm the only one that's going through that much trouble to get you ready for next year, before next year, where it's 100% multiple choice and 100% constructed type responses that are math related. So God bless, guys, and have a great day.